Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. We'll do a little stakes recap. Also, bottom of the hour, hope to reach out to our friend Steve Bick. He's been out at the NHC National Handicapping Championship for the last few days, and so we'll get caught up there. The leader was Dan Piazza, led on day one and just continued on day two. He has a total of $318. They made the cut at the end of the day yesterday. There were 800 entries. It's always the top 10%. So the top 80 folks got in. But as I understand it, nobody at the end of day two has ever had over $300. We'll talk more with Steve about it. But the leader has had two phenomenal days. Of the locals I've been tracking, and again, there are 10 of them that I know of from Saratoga, Albany area, Amsterdam, Clifton Park. Unfortunately, none of them made it into the final cut to get into this morning. And again, we go about 3/4 of the day today, and then it gets down to the final table of 10. Besides the locals, there are a handful of people I know in the contest as well, and just nobody, unfortunately, made it, except for our friend Ellis Starr, who I have on the show fairly frequently. Ellis, the national racing analyst for Equibase. He had a couple of entries and made it to Sunday with one of them at number 30. So he's in a solid position to maybe move up the list and potentially get to the final table. So we'll be watching today and rooting for Ellis Starr. But we'll talk more about that, as I say, bottom of the hour with Steve Bick. Do want to alert you, there's a 2-day carryover on the Pick 6 out at Santa Anita. Santa Anita, it's a $2 Pick 6 now, but if you're intrigued by that, $218,000 in the Pick 6 today, carryover at Santa Anita. Fairgrounds yesterday canceled because of weather. If you were kind of curious, what happened to Fairgrounds? If you play their action, they had some weather. Dan in the control room was watching the draw for next Saturday stakes races, and he said they were outside, the wind was blowing and whatnot, and sure enough, about an hour later, they were delaying post time because of a power outage, and that lasted a while. And then they said, no, we're going to cancel because of the weather issues down there and the power outage, obviously. So if you were looking for Fairgrounds yesterday, that was the scenario. There was a Rainbow Six mandatory at Gulfstream today, but it was hit on Thursday with a $100 winner in the last race. Somebody walked away. And I read, I guess local is maybe stretching it, but I read the loan ticket was bought at an OTB in Rochester. So somebody in upstate New York walked away with $200,000 on Thursday with the loan ticket in the Rainbow. I didn't see what it got up to. Obviously it was Friday and Saturday, had the chance to put a little money into it. But again, it is a mandatory today down at Gulfstream. All right, let's take a look at some of the action from yesterday. The highlight, obviously, at Colonial. We had Caitlin Free on with us. She took a few days off from her normal wintertime perch looking at Turfway and went over, and I was doing the paddock commentary at Colonial. And obviously the highlight was the Virginia Derby and the Virginia Oaks. We will take a look at the Virginia Derby. I like Getaway Car. It was a Baffert runner shipping in from the West Coast off a win in the Sunland Derby. Now, I will say, they were running up front. It was a speedy track yesterday, but Getaway Car kind of folded. Getaway Car, the number 6 horse, will wind up in a scrum for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and winds up 4th, and there's the 4-5 favorite. As the third choice at 7-1, American Promise, you can see opens up here. 7 3/4 lengths. And notable because trained by D. Wayne Lucas. So the coach heading to another Derby at 89 years old. So it's American Promise on top. Render Judgment runs second for Ken McPeak. And Omaha runs third. As I say, Getaway Car is the favorite, disappointing fourth. But D. Wayne, it's going to be a great storyline again. You know, last year with the Preakness winner, sees the gray. But American Promise gets into the Derby for 89-year-old Wayne Lucas. But more than that, Caldera, as I say, Getaway Car won the Sunland Derby. Just won it over Caldera, another Wayne Lucas horse. That one will be in the Louisiana Derby next week. And Innovator next week is in the Jeff Ruby. So Wayne Lucas has American Promise going to the Derby and two other horses with very good shots to make the Derby going forward. 89 years old, and that, you know, I believe is still getting up on the horse in the morning, and just incredible to, you know, had the chance to sit down with him. Our friend Tim Wilkin convinced Wayne to come over. He's friendly with Wayne Lucas, and convinced him to come over, sit in with me one morning, not last summer, 2 summers ago. And it was fun to talk to, you know, a guy who's kind of a legend at this point. And again, he will add a great storyline going forward to the Kentucky Derby. And if he gets one or two of those others in there, it becomes even more of a story. So it's going to be fun the next few weeks with Wayne Lucas on the Derby trail. A little bit earlier, it was the Virginia Oaks Derby, obviously 3-year-old boys, Oaks for the 3-year-old fillies heading to, and I should say it was a very fast time in the Virginia Derby. It was a new track record, 146.41 for a mile and an eighth. And people on Twitter were kind of going berserk, and understandably. But first, it's a new track record. As I understand it, they don't run it too much, but they probably don't run it too much because it's so unusual. It's a one-turn mile and an eighth. So it obviously was going to get a little bit faster than your normal 2-turn mile and an eighth. But the track was very fast yesterday. As I said, they ran fast early, 23 and change, 45 and change, 108 and change, 133 and change for the mile. American Promise was right up on it. Getaway Car was leading early. Again, that one faded to fourth, but American Promise kept going in a fast time. The Virginia Oaks, a 1-turn mile and a 16th. And again, we had Caitlin Free on yesterday. She liked fondly, second-time starter from Graham Motion. And the betting public did too. I was a little bit surprised. 7-2 on the morning line, but Fondly went off at 6-5. Fondly will be the number 8 horse here. And looks pretty good. Gets up by a length over early on. Fondly was ridden by Irad Ortiz early on, the number 5 horse, Flavian Prat. Anonymous was the horse I scratched into when Go Wells the Light scratched. The 4 horse winds up third in here. With the lead there, I thought Anonymous was going to get it done for me, but gets passed by 2 of them late. And again, it was a half length first to second, half length second to third. So all 3 of them ran pretty well. 2 horses scratched out. The horse I originally liked, Go Wells Delight, Kenny McPeak Runner, and Girl Math both scratched out. They're both headed next week to the Fairground Oaks. But Fondly gets points and could be headed to the Kentucky Oaks. Be interesting to see what they decide to do, though. This is a very lightly raced horse. Broke the maiden in the middle of February down at Tampa for Graham Motion and Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners. Did it pretty convincingly, but with a number that was a little bit light, a 72. Now, I haven't seen the numbers yet for yesterday's races, so I'm not sure what she got yesterday. But again, it kind of an ask to, make a move like that. Maiden breaker and debut, and then nice little stakes race, but the stakes race to get you enough points to make it the Kentucky Oaks. Do you go in the 3rd start of your career? And again, it'd be interesting to see what the numbers are, whether, that adds a piece to the puzzle too. I mean, if we get, low weight, although I will say the 3-year-old fillies this year, nobody has kind of knocked it out of the park. And again, you get the siren call of the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Oaks. If you have a horse that's eligible, sometimes it's hard to say no. So we'll see what's next for Fondley. We got the win yesterday, as I say, Graham Motion and Company. Before we take a quick break, actually, maybe we won't take it. Maybe we'll just roll through. So we time out well to get Bick. But next race up will be the Jimmy Winkfield yesterday at Aqueduct. I had T-Craft on top, a Lee Einseidler runner. You can always recognize the Lee horses with the pink silks. This one trained as Lee's horses are by Bill Mott. Jose Lescano on board. Was coming out of a couple of wins, broke the maiden in the 6th career start, and then followed up going right through the first condition, and now steps into Stakes Company and gets it done yesterday in an interesting trip. T-Craft is going to be the number 1 horse, and you can see in the pink silks on the rail, just has nowhere to go. And Lescano, I think, thought, I'll go up the rail. Nothing was there, so he pulls out. And he kind of admittedly made his own room here, pushing out Saxton, number 5, a little bit. And then when he does find daylight, he's just determined and gets up. The chart margin will be a neck. Saxton runs second under Katie Davis. Running third was Paula Starr. I had it 1, 2, 3 there. I won't brag. It didn't pay a whole lot. You got $46 for the exacta, so it was okay. But as I say, Lescano did have to make his own room. The stewards look, I think they made the right decision. They didn't change anything. Lescano came out and kind of pushed Saxton a little bit, but then Saxton pushed back. And so I think we were a 50-50. And I don't think the original push was really anything that was detrimental anyway. So again, as I looked at it, and I had selected T-Craft on top, but I didn't really have any dog in the fight beyond that. And I think I can be pretty objective. And I would not have made a change, so I was fine with what the stewards did there, not making a change. So T-Craft gets it done in a nice gutsy performance. Again, there was nothing there. There was a little wall of horses. I think Lescano was thinking, I'm going to go up the rail. And then there was nothing there. And so he came out, and there was still not really anything. So he kind of made a little room. And when there was the opening, it was a nice, gutsy, determined performance. And be interesting to see. The first couple of starts of the career for T-Craft showed some promise. Debuted. First start wasn't much, but then went up to Saratoga last summer and ran second to Chancellor McPatrick. So, again, there was a little bit of something there. Didn't quite live up to that, but came back in the first couple of starts this year, and as I said, broke the maiden, went through the first condition, and now got a stakes win. So we'll see what is up next for T-Craft. I would think later this year we'll see that one up at Saratoga, as it is a Lee Einseidler runner. Another one we stand a very good chance of seeing up at Saratoga in what looked to be a good race and was kind of a fun race yesterday down at Oaklawn. The feature at Oaklawn yesterday was Whitmore, the Whitmore Grade 3 event. $250,000 up for grabs, 3/4 of a mile. And we're going to watch Booth get it done. I wasn't quite sure what to make of Booth. Booth is the number 4 horse, and I wasn't quite sure what to make of Booth because there was clearly the talent here to do this as the 5-2 favorite. But this horse was coming out of a win on February 24th in a stake at Oaklawn with a 105. So this was a pretty quick turnaround. Giant Mischief runs second. Tejano Twist runs third in here under Tyler Bacon, who is a apprentice to maybe keep your eyes on, Tyler Bacon. But speaking of apprentices, Booth was ridden by Eric Asmussen for his father, Steve. And how unusual is this? Steve Asmussen with a nice sprinter. And as I say, I would think we will see this one up at Saratoga during the summer. And again, it's just been kind of wild, the Steve Asmussen crew of sprinters he's had over the last few years. I mean, the top of the top sprinters, and it looks like he may have another very good one this year in Booth, who, as I say, in a relatively quick turnaround in this day and age, puts together 2 very nice races. I mentioned Eric Asmussen, again, the Eclipse Apprentice winner last year. Won 3 races on the card. I think this was in a mix of 3 straight races. So a good day for him. He's now a journeyman. And I mentioned Tyler Bacon. Also 3 wins yesterday, and he's an apprentice. Keep your eyes on him. There's been a little buzz on Tyler Bacon this year down at Oaklawn, so worth watching. Also worth noting that the win yesterday in the Grade 3 event was the first graded stakes win for Eric Asmussen. I will say the post-race interview next to Nancy Holthus, he had a little height on Nancy Holthus, so it's going to be interesting to see how long he can hold the career with his size. If you remember, his dad, Steve, was a jockey too. You look at him now and you realize he was destined for a brief career, although his uncle Cash had a very nice career. Some of it over in Europe where he could carry a little more weight, but we'll see what happens. So far, so good for Eric Asmussen. All right, let's go down and take a look at a couple of stakes as well down at Gulfstream yesterday. We will start things out with the Hutchison for the 3-year-old sprinters. I had it 6-5. I had it 6-2-5, actually. I put Multiverse on top. I thought Guns Loaded looked good, and Rolando. And Multiverse, the whole stretch, I thought my top pick was going to go by. Multiverse, it's a Riley Mott runner, Drayden Van Dyke on board, coming out of a maiden breaker last time. Multiverse is the number 6 horse here, who you think right here, has the momentum, is going to go by. The leader is the number 5, Rolando, who is coming off a nice win in the previous start that made him look like a player as well. The betting public went with Rolando, and Multiverse just would not push on by. So it does wind up to be Rolando, Tyler Gaffleone on board over Multiverse. Joey Muscles runs third in there, but Fausto Gutierrez, the trainer, and Rolando, relatively lightly raced 3-year-old by Vacoma, lived up to that Vacoma breeding with a win in the career debut back in October. Since then, has never missed a check. We're now 6 starts, 3 wins, a second, and 2 thirds. So Rolando, a nice little, in that little subdivision of 3-year-old sprinters, he'll be interesting to watch. This yesterday was his stakes debut. Got that done successfully. So again, a 3-year-old sprinter to watch going forward. Both of them, really. Multiverse is more lightly raced. Came in with only 4 starts, but I thought that was a nice effort. I a little disappointed he wouldn't push on by, but it was a nice effort, again, for a lightly raced runner. Also down at Oaklawn, or down at Gulfstream yesterday, the Captiva Island fillies and mares going a quick 5 on the grass. And another one where I was right in the mix, I put Justicare over Epona's Hope. And I said yesterday when I was handicapping here on TV, I said, and I say this many times, sometimes we try to get too clever and switch them up, because in the previous race back on the 8th of February, the ladies turf sprint, Epona's Hope had won by a head over Justicare. I tilted towards Justicare yesterday, had the outside post position. I thought maybe strategically would be a little bit interesting. But no, again, got a little too clever. And the betting public was with me. The betting public made Justicare the number 6 horse, the 3-5 favorite. And you got 2-1 on Epona's Hope. You can see Epona's Hope just had opened up early and was going to be too tough to run down. Justicare ran nicely and just is a gutsy, nice second there. Running third was banned on a run, but it is Epona's Hope, $6.80. Eddie Plisa and Joel Rosario there. That was the 6th win in 12 career starts. That's a nice boy. If you're a horse owner, this is the kind you want. Win half your starts. There aren't many horses that do that, and then a second and 3 thirds. So it's money in the bank and running very well. Epona's Hope, nice little 4-year-old sprinting filly. And finally, we'll take a look out at Santa Anita. They had a stake there. It was a relatively light day, stakes-wise, certainly compared to the last 3 or 4 weeks at least. Last week and the week before were kind of blockbusters. So yesterday was a little cool on the stake side, although we did have the Virginia Derby and Virginia Oaks kind of highlighting. And the Whitmore with Booth, I think, proves a little bit interesting going forward. And T-Craft will be interesting to watch. So there was intriguing results, but again, a little bit light overall as compared to the last few weeks. But out at Santa Anita, they had the Santa Ana Grade 3 event, mile and a quarter on the turf. And we'll watch here. It'll be Lady Claypool, the number 1 horse, at 11-1, getting it done. 20-1 on the morning line. Horse was coming out of a couple of wins. This is the kind that you look up the tote board and you think, I can make a case there. Again, number 1 horse, you can see making a nice late run there. Chart margin is going to be 2.5. So at 11-1, nice little $25 and change winner there. Mrs. Astor runs second. Starry Heavens runs third. Mrs. Astor, an Augustin runner for Jonathan Thomas, who I think is pretty much based out in Southern California in the wintertime. He's become interesting to me because now he has these Augustin runners, and I used to be a big Jonathan Shepard guy, and he had the Augustin runners for years and years, and they proved to be kind of fruitful at Saratoga. They would typically run in the Mid-Atlantic region, Delaware or Maryland maybe, and maybe have a performance that wasn't jumping off the page, and then come up to Saratoga and win nicely for my man Jonathan Shepard and Augustin. But it is now Jonathan Thomas with the Augustin runners. Again, Mrs. Astor running second for that team, but Lady Claypool at $25 and change getting it done. Helping some of the folks out in Vegas, the National Handicapping Championship, the $25, I think, did get some people moving late in the day, obviously, being race 8 out at Santa Anita. And we will talk to our man, Steve Bick. Again, he's out doing the radio show. And I highly recommend, I have kind of been sitting here in the afternoon doing TV the last couple of days with it fired up on my computer because it's fun. You have some of the best handicappers in the country out there. And Steve has them, they'll be walking by and he'll pull them over and pick their brain a little bit. And there'll be more of that today because now that the things have narrowed down to the last, top 80 going into the last day, there are some people that are sitting on the sidelines that'll come over and talk with Steve and sit in. So it'll be fun today as well. But we'll talk to Steve right after this break, get some of his thoughts on the first couple of days out in Vegas and more. All of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. As promised before the break, we will shift our attention to Vegas. Always a lot of fun. I miss not going out there. It was a few years ago. We went 2 years in a row. It's a lot of fun. National Handicapping Championship set up by the NTRA. People play tournaments all year long to qualify. I mentioned the last couple of days we had a group of locals out there. It was fun over the past couple of days to watch the leaderboard and root for them. And also, I mentioned at the top of the show, last couple of days, I've been tuned in to stevebick.com and listening to his commentary out there. That's always a lot of fun as well. So I thought we'd catch up and get a little review of the first couple of days of the tournament. Steve, good morning.
Seth, good morning. Good morning, Capital District.
And I have to start out just by asking you, because you sent a picture, and so I'm assuming I listened most of the day yesterday, and then I got in the car and drove home, and I might have missed it. But did you get a chance to talk to Dan Piazza? And this guy has been unconscious the first 2 days, on top of the leaderboard the first day. And yesterday, he just held that lead throughout the day, kept hitting things. It's been a phenomenal performance by the leader, Dan Piazza.
Well, you've got that picture there of both Dan Piazza and Alex DeVito. Alex DeVito, the 31-year-old son of Basil DeVito, who's been a presence on the contest scene for years, a former executive of the World Wrestling, whatever it is, the World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. Basil and Alex both are big presence. Alex was basically second behind Dan Piazza most of day one and then most of day two. He's still in great shape. He's got 2 entries. But Alex is sitting 9th after the 2 days. Dan Piazza was amazing yesterday. And in fact, he set a 2-day record. $318 and change breaks the, fairly, probably about a 5-year-old record for an accumulated score over 2 days. And what was amazing about Piazza yesterday was the fact that he kept building his score and maintaining a $30 to $40 lead, despite not being part of those crazy prices that came late in the day. He just kept hitting, $12, $15, $18, and he just kept pace, and he expanded his lead when everything was said and done. He's got a not insurmountable lead, but he is absolutely the authoritative leader in the clubhouse after the 2 days, and it will be very tough to catch at this point, you would think. But based on what's happened in the late stages of both days, where big prices started to come in, and that leaderboard went berserk, particularly the second half of the leaderboard, Seth, where players forged into the top 10% and then just as quickly were shoved out of it. It was a wild hour yesterday, the last hour, with the mandatories producing prices, and then Turfway Park and Santa Anita, Oaklawn too. It was wild yesterday.
Yeah, I showed the Santa Ana from Santa Anita, Lady Claypool, I said, played into the late portion of the day with a $25 winner there, coming out of a couple of wins. Certainly folks used that one. But talk a little bit there was a couple interesting things. As I listened to your show yesterday, you brought them both up. You looked at the list, the leaderboard, the top 10, and then went down the list. A lot of the familiar names just weren't there because Friday was kind of crazy. And you said people were saying these are races where you can take a shot, and they were right there. They just didn't have the right horse. So there was a lot of people that are normally up on that leaderboard that were struggling a little bit after Friday. And you kind of alluded to it a minute ago as well. I found this intriguing also. Late in the day, you and you're there with Rick Hammerly. You and Hammer were kind of looking at the optional races people still had left. Really, with 2 hours or an hour and a half left, they still had most of their bullets ready, aiming for late Santa Anita, but probably a little more early Turfway. I thought the strategy was fascinating.
Well, that's a big part of it. And when for those that don't know how this structure works, you have 800 players going into this. That's a record number. And the top 10% out of the first 2 days advance today to the semifinal. Those 80 players will boil down to the final table, 10 players. And so late in the day on day 2, players are trying to get into that semifinal. And today, the semifinal will include about, I think it's 19 races. And of the 19, the semifinalists will have to make 10 plays, all optional. There's no mandatories in the semifinal. So those 10 races will then produce your top 10 finishers, and then they will play 7 races, the Aqueduct 7th, the Gulfstream 8th and 10th, the Oaklawn 8th and 9th, the Tampa Bay 9th, and the Santa Anita 6th. Those will be the 7 races that comprise the final table. So when players are hoarding their optionals, and yesterday they had to play 8 mandatories and 12 optionals, there was a point in the day, in literally the last, call it hour and 15 minutes, where there was only, let's say, 6 races left, and so 8 races, and guys had 5 or 6 plays. But tell you what's interesting about it, Seth. The players at the top of the chart did not necessarily make any more moves despite those plays. The volatility came from the players that were sitting 300th, 200th, and getting into the top 80. And that was a little tougher to follow, because you would look down the leaderboard and there would be a player that was, hit one of the cap horses. A cap horse is 20-1 on the win end, 10-1 on the place end. So that's worth $64. You had horses that, produced either cap horses or close to cap horses. I would say there must have been 6 or 7 of them in the last hour. So players were jumping all over the board. Some, as soon as they would get into the top 80, they were then shoved right out. It was unbelievable, and it produced a lot of drama. If you were listening, you could hear in the background during the frenzy, you hear players cheering, and it's just a special. You've seen the atmosphere, you've been there, and there's really nothing like it. And you had, I think one of the things that is notable, very few of the perennial stars of the contest world made it through these 2 days. There are some notables, like Trey Styles, for instance, who's a Hall of Famer. Trey, I think, ended up 46 going into today. But the Matisse family, they struggled. Marshall Graham really never made much of a run. Some of the names that you hear most regularly, they maybe picked races that were productive, but they were on the wrong long shot. So it was really a fascinating 2 days.
Yeah, I see Chris Littlemore is up there. He's sitting at 19. There's a familiar name, but otherwise there's Trey Styles. Trey Styles is actually 21.
Yeah, no, Trey's in tremendous shape, and he played brilliantly. Chris Littlemore is the only former champion that is in the top 80. And Littlemore got actually as high as second, and then settled back down into 19th. There are some wonderful stories. I don't know if you guys are putting up the pictures. Peter Dressens, who's become a prominent contest player. That's Peter in the shop outfit with the hat, and a Colorado taxidermist named Dean Malizia. And for me personally, it's kind of a fun pair. Peter got involved in contest play after hearing Paul Matisse win the contest. That he heard Paul with me back in 2016, and he said, "I want to get involved in this." And the next thing you know, Peter is a major presence. The same is true of Dean Malizia. Dean is from Colorado. He's been playing for 30 years, and he heard me last year with Mike Gillum. Heard the final interview and said, "I want to start playing." He ended up becoming a rookie sensation and ended up second on the rookie tour. And he's got both of his entries in the top. It's amazing.
That's
it's just
great.
He after hitting one of his long shots, he literally was shaking when we had him on the air. It was just amazing. It's really kind of excited for him.
And I know from previous years you've heard that before as well. And I've told you many times, listening to you guys is just infectious because, and I told people before you came on, I said, check it out today, stevebick.com, and pull it up and listen during the afternoon because Sunday becomes even a little more intriguing. Friday and Saturday, it's always fun. I'll hear you yell, hey, oh, and you just pull people as they walk by. But Sunday, with people kind of sitting on the sidelines, there is kind of the second chance tournament. But most of the people are just kind of sitting there. So maybe you'll get the Matisse brothers over. But those types of people will sit in and you can kind of pick their brains and they'll talk strategy. And it's just a lot of fun. And yeah, being in the room, it's very infectious. And I can see where people listening would then want to participate because I think it does lend itself to that. And I will tell people to if you've never tried contest play, jump in and do it. And if you can make it out to Vegas, you will not regret it. And again, you do a great job promoting that every year.
Well, I appreciate it and looking forward to it. We've got the semifinal. Our coverage today will start at about 11, and then the final table gets started at 4 o'clock. Well, I say 11 our time. So 2 o'clock, give or take, 1:30, 2 o'clock. Click on the listen live button on the left column, and we'll be on the air until we crown a champion, and until they're standing with me. It very well could be Dan Piazza, but Dylan Donnelly, who is Dylan Donnelly sitting second. He's an amazing story. He was critically injured in an RV accident, lost his mobility. He's confined to a wheelchair. Dylan is a tremendous player. He made a big charge. Second, Greg Bone is a guy that has got 2 entries in the top 20. He's sitting third. Peter Dressens, as I mentioned. There's nothing but great stories, and we'll tell it today live from the Horseshoe Las Vegas, the event center.
Totally intrigued to listen because Piazza has, like I say, has been unconscious the first couple of days. Can he keep it going today? Just about $60. It's going to be tough to overcome. But I will remind people, last year's winner, didn't he go into the final? Last year there was a little smaller cut. It was maybe only 75. But I think he went in at about 65, started Sunday, and just worked his way up all day long. Yeah, crazy.
He was 64th, and all he did was pick. He didn't pick. He wasn't hitting long shots. He was hitting 4-1, 6-1, 5-1, and he just marched up the leaderboard and ultimately overtook Seth Morris in the final table and the final race of the contest. You just never know how it's going to unfold.
Yeah. One last question, because I think you guys were looking it up, and I don't think I heard the answer yesterday. Does Piazza have the record after 2 days with 318?
Yeah, I mentioned that at the top of the segment. The two-day total of $300 $19, and that eclipsed a mark from I think 5 years ago of 308.
Okay, I didn't hear you mention the record, and I heard you guys talking about it yesterday, and it's just phenomenal. Steve, appreciate the visit. Get back to breakfast, and we'll be tuned in later this afternoon, and we appreciate the conversation.
My pleasure. Boots on the ground, live from Vegas.
And continue to travel safely, by the way.
Well, I come home tomorrow after 5 weeks.
Okay. All right.
As long as Tina's at the airport, we'll be all right.
That would be a bad sign if she wasn't there for sure. Yeah. All right, Steve, appreciate it.
You will.
All right, take it easy. Again, I highly tout. Go to stevebick.com today, and you can keep us on the TV over here and listening to him on the computer. That's what I've been doing the past couple of days. It's always fascinating, and as I say, today he'll get some of the players over because they're essentially on the sidelines. There is a kind of a second chance contest for folks who didn't make the cut. And so folks will be playing in that as well, but it'll be fun to listen to today. And it's been fun the last couple of days. Again, the leader, Dan Piazza, just has been unconscious the past couple of days. I played in, there was I don't want to call it celebrity because it's not, media people and whatnot. There's a charity contest that they hold as well on Saturday every year. There was 49 people, and as I say, it was media people and just horse racing related people. Tom Law from the Saratoga Special was in. Steve was in. I was in. But I will tip my cap to the winner. It was Mike Brunker, NBC and other publications over the years. But Mike Brunker was the winner yesterday in that charity contest. And what it's a number of the mandatory races that the contestants play. And there were 8 total races. I wound up mid-pack. I think I had a winner and a couple of place horses, maybe a couple of winners, but I wound up kind of mid-pack of the 49 people. But Mike Brunker, at the end of the day, I looked, and he was at the top. And I looked at his total. I thought, well, he's doing all right. And I checked, and it was towards the end of the day. It was after the first 7 of the 8 races. He'd won all 7. He had the winner in all 7 of the first 7 in the charity event. And then the last race was the Santa Anita race, and he didn't have the winner there. Otherwise, he would have swept. I mean, it was an incredible performance in the charity event. And the way it works is the winner, the NTRA puts up $10,000, and the winner can pick a charity or charities to get the money. So, again, congratulations to Mike Brunker on a phenomenal day yesterday. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, some news and notes and whatnot before we wrap it up on this Sunday. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Just a couple other notes on the National Horse Players Championship. Steve corrected me. I kept saying handicapping championship. It's the National Horse Players Championship. As I said, our friend Ellis Starr is in at number 30. He's got a way to go, though. Again, the leader has $318. Ellis has $200. But everybody who makes it to Sunday gets some money. You can go to the NTRA website and look at the prize list. I mean, you wind up, it's a fun weekend if you make it to Sunday, regardless. But every step up the ladder, you get a little more money. And it's very nice if you can make it to the final table. And so sitting at 30, let me see if Ellis is sitting at 30 with $200. Currently, the top 10, number 10's 236. So again, the leader's at 318. But 236 is very gettable. So we'll certainly root for our friend Ellis to make it to the final table. Carl Broberg, former prominent trainer, but he's been a contest player for a while. He made the final cut. He was 76, number 76. Final cut was 80 with $176. And again, the top 10 right now is 236. So he's $50 behind, but a couple of nice winners. You're right in the mix there. And as I say, every step up, you get a little more money as well. I will also mention Howard Kravitz. We have Howard on the show up at Saratoga. We'll have him on. but I have him on during the year as well. He does the HHH Racing podcast, which is a lot of fun. You can find it over on YouTube. Howard tweeted out. It was frustrating because it was late in the day. He has 2 entries, and I'm guessing he was playing very similarly because both entries were separated by $3 maybe, but he was sitting at maybe number 50 and 54 late in the day. And again, the cutoff's 80. That said, down towards the bottom of the list, the money got very close. And Howard, unfortunately, late with prices, as Steve said, coming in late, got knocked down to 105 and 123 with totals that were, 167 and 161. Let me just look and see actually what 80 was. So the cutoff was 175 and change, and Howard had 167 and 161. And as I say, late in the day, and that's the kind of the fun of the contest, the highs and the lows. Somebody is celebrating that they just made the cut. Somebody is, a few bucks below. It's that cut line is frustrating for folks. But again, we'll be rooting for our friend Ellis. As I say, none of the locals that I was tracking got in. Paul Matisse had a decent little Saturday because he was chasing on Friday. He wound up 139 with $158, and as they say, the cutoff was 170, 175. So he was right in the mix late as well. Paul, former winner of the NHC. So, and again, you can check it out today via Mr. Bick. Reminder again, Santa Anita today, their $2 pick six. They have that traditional now. Has a 2-day carryover of $218,000. So if you're a pick six player, keep that in mind at Santa Anita. The Rainbow Six at Gulfstream is a mandatory today, and they have the graphic up there, but they don't have an amount. Again, it was hit on Thursday, so it's not one of these huge amounts, but with a mandatory, people put it in. We've had a couple of days to put money in, so you would think there'll be enough there to. There was a mandatory not too long ago where it had gotten hit the day before, but they still put in a decent amount of money on the mandatory payday. So again, if you're taking a look and you like to play those mandatories, I think there'll be enough in there certainly to have a little fun and play it. So mandatory pay in the Rainbow down at Gulfstream. I just pulled up current odds for there's a Kentucky Oaks future pool that closes at 6:30 today, I think, or 6 o'clock. One of them closes. I think the Derby closes at 6 today, and the Oaks closes at 6:30. But I'm just going down the list. Good Cheer is currently, unsurprisingly, the favorite at 7-2. You can grab all others at 15-1. And the Oaks pool, all others might be a little bit interesting. And I'm just looking. That's a good question with the Oaks winner yesterday in Virginia. Fondly, number 13 on the list with only the maiden win, made the cut and got on 15-1. Again, in these future pools, not surprising after the performance yesterday, the horse took some action, but in these future pools, I would want a little more than that. Aqueduct is a horse I find interesting. You're getting 31-1. No, excuse me, you're getting 38-1 there. So Aqueduct may be worth a look. Just going. Go Well's Delight is 99-1. And I think that horse is absolutely playable. As I say, scratched yesterday from the Virginia Oaks, but we'll go next week in the Fairground Oaks. Go Well's Delight won the career debut at the end of December, looking pretty good down at the Fairgrounds. Then went into the Martha Washington at Oaklawn. So you're going right from a maiden race into a stakes race. Ran fourth, a well-beaten fourth, but came back in the Rachel Alexandra and ran second, 5 lengths back, but ran second to Good Cheer. Good Cheer's the favorite at 7-2. Go Well's Delight is 99-1. I'm going to take a little Go Well's shot. LaCara at 23-1 is kind of on the borderline of the odds I find interesting. Mohima at 22-1, again on the borderline, but I think you can take a look at that. Quiet Side 17-1. Tenma 13-1. Again, that's a little too low. The Queen's MG 22-1. So there are some interesting horses in there that are kind of borderline, but the two that I'll probably take a shot with, Eclatant at 38-1 and Go Well's Delight at 99-1. So there are a couple to look at. And again, Eclatant, again, at 38-1. It's a Brad Cox trainee. He's got a number of these 3-year-old fillies that are running very well, but comes out of a win in the Forward Gal down at Gulfstream. Has won 3 of 4 so far. And the only non-win was behind Good Cheer and Quiet Side. So Eclatant, maybe one to take an extra look at. As I say, I'll take a shot there and Go Well's Delight. Let me pull up our Derby future odds. And again, that will close, I believe, at 6 o'clock. Oh, there's also there's a separate entry when you pull down your list here. There's a Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby double future pool. So you might want to take a look at that as well. Just taking a quick look down, your favorite on the dirt, now, unsurprisingly, journalism, 5-1. All others currently sitting at 12-1. And again, at this point on the calendar with, the number of entries they have now, all others used to be attractive to me almost all the way through, because you could wind up with 4 or 5 or 6 in the gate potentially. But now with the 40 entrants, the 39 individual entrants, it's maybe a little less attractive. All of that said, I will note that the Wayne Lucas runner American Promise did not make the cut. So off of yesterday's performance, all others may be interesting because at the very least, you're likely to get American Promise if that one stays healthy. Caldera, the other Lucas horse that is a little bit interesting, one of the others, 13-1. Barnes is 15-1. Burnham Square, 30-1. I think that horse is interesting. Captain Cook from Rick Dutrow, 57-1. Chancer McPatrick, 24-1. Probably an interesting price there. Citizen Bull is only 8-1. Again, a little light. Coal Battle, a little light at 11-1. Cornucopian at 13. Disruptor from Todd Pletcher, 33-1. That's interesting. Flood Zone from Brad Cox, I like off the New York Stakes win recently. Flood Zone, 35-1. Getaway Car after yesterday, 49-1. But after yesterday, I'm not sure I'm jumping on that bandwagon, even at the price. John Hancock, 28-1. Owen Almighty, 38-1. Nice price there. Prater from Chad Brown, 64-1. River Thames, I'll take a shot here too. 79-1 on River Thames. The two Sand Horses, Sand Devil, 99-1. I'm curious if they will continue on to the Derby with that one. Sandman, who I like, is at 17-1. Sovereignty at 9-1. And Tapan Street, 56-1. So there are some opportunities on the Derby pool as well. And if you like something at a big price, maybe also take a look at that Oaks Derby future double as well. Again, they close later today, so keep that in mind also. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Seth Merrow, Racing Across America for a Sunday morning. Hopefully you enjoyed a little recap of some of the stakes action from yesterday, as some of it will play into Derby Oaks and some of it will play beyond. A horse like Booth, as I say, I would expect we'll see him up at Saratoga along with some of these others. So it was a fun day yesterday. A little light on the stakes action as compared to the last couple of weeks, but some fun races. Let me give you a little update on what's coming up here at Capital OTB. First up today here at the Clubhouse Racebook King of the Hill contest. Come on down, enjoy all the racing action. You can watch the sports action on our sports screens as well. That's all right here at the Clubhouse Racebook this afternoon. Speaking of sports, we kick off the tourney. Our sports screens will be fired up and raring to go with March Madness starting on Thursday, next Thursday through Sunday. Come on down and watch all the basketball and all the horse racing action. You can do that right here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Catch a little lunch at the Black Bear, our food vendor, and I guarantee you will enjoy. Next Friday, Bounty Bet will return. It'll be the late pick 5 at Gulfstream. Again, that's next Friday for the Bounty Bet. Next Saturday, there'll be a player's bankroll here at the Clubhouse Racebook, so keep that in mind as well. So it should be fun over the next week or so with college basketball and some of the other promotions and events here at Capital OTB. All right, back in, about an hour or so for OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon, just double checking, and 1:10 post time at Aqueduct, 12:50 at Gulfstream. So we'll be back for that and more on a Sunday afternoon. But again, really appreciate your tuning in. And I always want to remind people, I don't always do it, I forget sometimes, but I know we have a lot of people who watch on YouTube. If you do watch on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, move us up that search algorithm. We would appreciate that. But however you watch, we appreciate your tuning in. And we hope you're back in, again, about an hour or so for OTB Live on a Sunday afternoon. We'll see you then. We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.